Well, good morning, guys. Another fine day in the old pine forest. We're continuing on Fort McMuffin today, which is our little cabin. I've coined it. Actually, Mark, my buddy Mark, coined that term because he was like, that thing looks like an egg McMuffin. And I'm like, I like egg McMuffin, so that's what she's gonna be. So the plan today is to carry on with our construction of our little fort. As you can see, it's about midday. We got a late start this morning, actually, but it's full sun, but it's dark in here. He's got Don, he's coming by. He's got our cladding. It's an old above ground swimming pool. Look at that fire, Don. What happened?
It burnt itself out or rained?
I think it got rained on a lot.
It's the best mobile game ever created. It's Raid Shadow Legend. They've got 600 champions, all from unique faction. And they all have their unique history in the world of Teleria. Did I mention this game is free? It costs you absolutely nothing to download. Use my link below to download your very own copy of Raid to your mobile phone or PC. The newest boss just released in Raid. It's the biggest and craziest yet. This thing has 6 heads with 6 different heads. Each head is its complete boss battle of its own. The head of Torment. This head looks like a death metal album and sounds the same. This thing, you're gonna have to use, your special powers, have a veil or a perfect veil skill if you want a chance against this head. The head of Decay, it does exactly what it sounds. It slowly weakens your team, all the while keeping other heads in good shape. I think one of my favorite champions is Galek. He's a member of the Orcs. He's got crazy skills. He's got this cross slash, which he comes up with his sword, he whacks them. He's got the Hellraiser, which rains fire from below, and he's got the Cursed Blade, which kind of rains down fire from the sky. This guy is my most powerful champion. He's the guy I like to use the most. Oh, and if the biggest, baddest boss in the entirety of mobile games isn't enough for you, Raid is also giving away a super limited edition champion to every player in the game. Some of you may recognize him already. It's esports legend and Navi superstar Simple. Between now and January 28th, 2022, Simple limited edition champ is available for free to both new and old players. All you have to do is log in for 7 days between now and January 28th, and he's yours. And if you miss the date, you miss out forever. On top of that, it's the holidays, so Raid's got a full schedule of festive activities with special events and tournaments and even some new fusion events to help you add some Raid's incredible festive champions to your collection. There's seriously never been a better time to get started. Hit the link in the description and scan my QR code and you'll get an epic champion burger, 200k silver, 1 energy refill, and 1 XP boost, and then 1 ancient shard, and you can summon awesome champions as soon as you get in the game. Once you're in, you can find me in the game under the name Woodchucker, and if you're fast, you can join my clan. And it's that easy, just click the link in the description and I'll see you in the game.
This is what it looks like when you get to the edge of the pines. You can actually see how much light actually gets in. So this is my plan, is to actually have this much light coming into the middle of the forest in order to actually get some stuff to grow. As you can see, the light that comes through, there is a significant amount of wind coming through those cracks. What do you think of this plan, Don?
It's a plan.
It's a
plan. It's the only one you have, so.
It's the only. That wasn't the only one.
Well, it's plan A.
It's plan A. So plan A is to take the metal from the pool and put it around the base, and then put another ring around the top, and that'll give us kind of an airtight. Well, it won't give us airtight. It'll give us pretty darn close to airtight. And then we're gonna pack it. We're gonna pack it with pine needles because that'll add our insulation, and then we can finish it like we would finish any other cabin. I'm gonna plane a little bit of the knots off with my planer. So what we're working on is these little knobs here that stick out past past the average. What we want to do is average out the wall in order for our steel to gently go around it. We don't want these little knobs sticking in place. So what Don is doing is actually using an axe and hacking them off, and I'm using a little battery powered planer, and I can actually just stick it in and just kind of rips it right off. Don prefers the banging method.
Well, I don't have a planer, so.
That's right.
Got my safety goggles on, I'm good.
I learned this flattening technique from an old drywaller that I knew. What he would do is he actually go into finished houses and he would take his planer and a long straight edge, and he put his straight edge on the wall, and anything that's that proud, he would take his planer and rip down to make it true from one side to the other in order to make the drywall hang flat. Because as you guys know, 2x4s aren't the straightest things in the world anymore. That stuff's heavy, Don. do you want to lift that and roll it?
Roll on can.
Yeah. Tuck it in. Well, you can already notice a difference in here. It's not windy at all. We've got it up. It wasn't fun. It's extremely heavy and awkward. So what the plan now is to actually, Don's already started. What we're going to do is we're going to stuff in the pine needles, the under stuff, into the cracks of the building itself to kind of give it further, kind of like an insulation or a buffer. Give it a little bit of soundproofing as well. So we've got the little margin trowel and we're just tucking it in as we go, and we'll just fill it in basically from back to front, and that should give us a little bit of insulation. What do you think, Don? That's a good plan. So we've only been doing it for 3 hours. No, it's about
three done.
3 hours, three done. So about an hour each slot.
So about 60 days.
Yeah, we'll be done. We'll be done just after. We'll be early 2022. It's pretty solid in there now, and as the stuff falls out, we'll just kind of touch it up as we go. We don't know if we got it all over the back. Seems to be holding up pretty good, and I think I like the way it's finished it off. And we've got a little bit of an overhang on the roof, so water should shed right down off that thing. Perfect. We've got our pile of floor over there. It's a bunch of skids. It doesn't look much like a floor, but it will when we're done with it. So I've got my corded sawzall with my battery pack. And if you guys have ever used a corded sawzall with an extension cord, your cord probably always comes unplugged. Now they have really fancy ones that kind of lock in place, but if you don't have one of those guys, what you do is you take it and you essentially tie it in a knot. What that allows it to do is not come apart. Tip of the day for not getting frustrated while taking apart skids. Also start with a sharp sawzall blade. I have a series of dull ones. Let's see how that works. Ideally you want ones that are just designed for metal, just to cut the nails. And a lot of people are like, why don't you just pull the nails? It's quicker to cut them apart. You can denail them with a hammer, but that's a whole lot. That's a whole other animal. So, safety first. Got some Katy Perry playing? We're all set. I find the easiest way to take apart any kind of skid is using a sawzall with either a metal blade or a really good kind of bimetal blade. And my technique usually involves taking either a hammer, or if you can pry the skid, you can actually move the wood slightly in order to get your blades in between both pieces of wood, because if it's pinching it doesn't really work. So the idea is to cut every nail one by one until you can loosen the boards. I find it's quicker than removing nails from the boards, and they don't split as often. So now that we've got all our wood sorted, we've got our building material, we've got our structure on the one side and our boards on the other side. So the idea behind this floor is going to be a patchwork skid wood floor. We've done these floors before, haven't we, Don? We've done it on the tarp shelter, which worked out really well. It turns out we needed a whole lot of floor. I think we have enough to do it this time. What do you think, Don? Think we got enough? Hope so. Otherwise we're going to go back to the drawing board.
Yeah. Or the skid pile.
Skid pile! More skids! So like I said, the idea behind this wood floor is going to be a patchwork, kind of like a quilt. We're going to build a quilt floor out of pallet wood quilt floor. Say that 10 times fast. In order to build our subfloor, we ended up using the middle portions of the skid wood, and we butted them together, toe screwed them together, and then added 14.5-inch blocking in order to keep them pretty much square. And then once we had that all laid out, we ended up filling in around the perimeter of the circle with more blocking in order to give us some more structural support for once our floor goes in. Okay, so now that we got the subfloor in, and we got the camera in a terrible position, we're going to show you that we're going to put the floor down. So this is the pallet wood that we've cut off of the skids, and we're going to lay it kind of like a patchwork hardwood floor. But it's not hardwood, it's softwood, so it's just going to be a floor, but it's going to be in my circle cabin. I find whenever you're using pallet wood and a 16-inch on center sort of structure framing, I find it easier to always add blocking in between where there isn't a stud in order to continue on with installing the floor. It's kind of like a mending plate for flooring, especially with the flooring. You've got more than enough strength as we could, so we used the same width of boards in order to get all the way across, and then you would start again with a different row, and it didn't really matter if your next row is a different width because you're making it all the way across the floor. It's my tradition to lay on every single floor I've ever made. This one is no exception. It's just as comfortable. I think making flooring takes years off your life. Oh, I'll just flatten out for a minute. Look at that for lighting. We have this beautiful lighting in this cabin. It's always kind of like golden hour when the sun is setting. But what's cool is that the ceiling is acting like a giant diffuser, which is giving me like beautiful lighting. And I don't know if you guys are into photography or not, but this is kind of like the lighting they just kind of dream of. That's crazy. Can you see? Can you see the giant catch light? If you don't know what a catch light's that little white dot that you usually see in somebody's eyes when you look in a photograph. So my catch light probably looks like a giant spider because this is a satellite dish on the roof. Anyways, that's my photography lesson for the day. This is really cool lighting. This is I'm really pleased with the way the floor turned out. So anyways, it seems to be that it always the project always takes this amount of time that's allowed during the day. Because if you say you got 20 minutes, that project's going to take you 20 minutes to do. If it took us more than 20 minutes. It took us nearly all day to put that floor in. But I'm very pleased with it. It looks really cool. I think, Don, it's pretty cool floor, eh?
It is. It's very nice. Very nice flooring.
You put that in your house?
What? This floor?
Pallet wood flooring. Tear it out and put
I'll go right over top.
Right over top with pallet wood floor.
Yeah. That'd look good.
It's got that old-timey feel to it. It's got that squeakiness.
Yeah, it's
I like
an
it.
old, as I said before, an old hardware store or an old general store.
Well, how cool is this? It's indoor project time. We've got the walls pretty much all framed out with them clad with our steel. They need a little bit of a wash because they're kind of dirty. They got a little bit of dirt on them, but that, nothing like a bucket of water and some soap that might help. But as you can see, we have no door. So the first thing I'm going to do is determine on how square it actually turned out, because it's really hard to hang a door in an unsquare opening. And then I've got to build a frame and a door. So that's why I got my trusty table in here. We were calling for rain all day today, but it doesn't appear to be raining at all. So I guess it got a little bit of drips. You can see our drips are actually shedding off of the roof and not landing on our building, which was the plan. That was the plan all along. So design achieved or perfected. That's pretty cool. Anyways, all right, let's gonna start with the door, see how plumb my opening is, and then start squaring some stuff up. Santa Claus is coming to town. How's that for level? Can you see that? Can you see that? That's the laser leveled with the assistance of a 4-foot level. And this is my quick tip for anybody hanging doors, even the pre-hung doors. If you have a laser level with a plumb feature, that is the easiest way to do it. You put it in your opening, and then you make sure your side is perfectly plumb, and then you shim it, or you put temporary screws or even nails in order to hold your jamb in place. And then that allows you to actually make your door perfectly level. So that's our opening. That's our rough size opening. Next to this is going to be treated as a door jamb, and then I have to create a door that goes inside this opening that opens outside, because I don't want it to actually take up room inside our cabin. So I think we're well on our way to having ourselves a door. I already like how this is turning out. This is super cool. In order to build my door, I ended up measuring the opening and ensuring that my door was a 1/4 inch smaller on all sides in order for it to fit the opening. I started with the top and bottom and then added sides. And then once I've screwed those together, I added diagonal blocking in order to maintain square. And then once I was done that, I added more pallet wood to the back side of the door in order to complete the door. And then once I've done that, I add a little bit more detail in the front to give it a little bit more style. Hey guys, it's tool time. I'd like to introduce you to the Dewallie laser engraver. They reached out to me and said, Kevin, can you review this product? And I said, you know what, I've always wanted a laser, so absolutely send it my way. And this is my honest review. So they didn't pay me for this review, but they wanted me to try it out. So here it is. I ended up making this, which is kind of cool. This is on a piece of 5/8 plywood, good one side. I don't even think it's good one side. It's construction grade plywood, and as you can see, it is really cool. So this thing comes flat packed in a box. You put it together sort of like Meccano, and you hook it up to your computer through USB, and you're able to print your favorite things on wood or metal or leather or aluminum. This thing will cut really thin plywood, I think up to 8 millimeters or just over 1/8 of an inch. It'll actually cut out stuff if you've got some interesting craft projects you want to do. It takes the, I guess, the ink out of printing, which is really cool. I've always kind of wanted a printer, but I've always not liked the fact that it's got consumables. You gotta, you know, buy ink for the thing, but this is really cool. It prints with a laser. It combines all of the fun of woodworking and burning stuff at the same time. So that's actually really cool. I highly recommend it. I am in its initial stages of use. I haven't used it a whole lot. I've burnt probably 3 or 4 projects, but I can see like the creative little gears are turning in my head, and I'm thinking of all sorts of new things to use it for. It'll engrave up to 400 millimeters by 400 millimeters. So this is just under 400 millimeters by 400. I think it's 380 millimeters, which is a fair size. But what's cool about it is it's versatile and it can print on nearly anything. You guys can check them out. Website is Made the Best, and the link will be in the description below. It's the Dewallie laser etcher. It's really cool. Laser engraver. Check them out. It even smells good. It's got that sweet smell of burnt wood. I don't know if that's a feature or a drawback, but I like it. I think this is really cool. Okay, so I'm gonna mortise my hinge in, and I got my set here, and I've marked it out. But the problem is I don't have my chisels here, so I'm going to improvise. I've never tried this before. Let's see how it works. I am really happy on the way this door turned out. Not just because it's got my logo burnt on the door in wood, which is really cool. I really like the way this looks. It actually fits really nice. This is cool. I like this. It fits. It's perfectly matched. I think it turned out great. I like doors. I like making doors. I think the way they fit, it kind of tickles my brain just to make it fit and kind of like get the opening square, level and plumb and stuff like that. Like this thing works like amazing. It fits. I still got to put the door stop on, but that's a task for another day. So there, just need a doorknob and we're all set. I think that turned out really good. It's actually, it fits, it looks like it's always been there. I think it's aesthetically pleasing as well as functional. It's a door. I was going through my inventory thinking I need to put myself a window in here because you can't just have a big old box in the forest without a window. So I'm thinking of a window right about here. I've got another little window I've been saving. This little guy here, I'm not sure exactly where I got this thing, but it's a nice little window. It's the right size. It kind of opens up and down. It's got a little screen on it, give you much needed ventilation in there. That'll be fun. I've never cut a window into a log hut before. Yeah, I have, but not a vertical log hut. A horizontal log hut is way different than a vertical log hut. In order to get my window in, I first got to get through this tin cladding that's on the wall. So what I'm going to use is tin snips, and I'm going to tin snip it all around the opening and get my first layer of cladding off. And then I'm going to proceed to use a chainsaw to cut the rest of it. I can't think of an easier or better way to install a window than with a chainsaw. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to cut the whole opening in the wall with a chainsaw. I gotta put it. How's that for a window? So that's an old window from a camper, and it's normally designed to be installed horizontally. It's not an up and down window, so I'm just going to use the old school stick method to keep my window up. I've got to put my returns on it and my trim, but I think that works pretty good. It's going to allow me to have some much needed ventilation in here. We got the firewood, or we got the wood stove cooking. Kind of want some window. We got some window open. How's that for a wood stove? That is the Scandia 150. I believe it was made in sometime in the early 70s, perhaps. And I think it was discontinued for whatever reason. It was a knockoff of a more popular stove, the Yodel. The Yodel F100, which is a really good stove. This is the Scandia, which I think was a knockoff and it was made in Taiwan. And there's not that many left because the cast on the mold, I guess they used substandard metal when they forged it, and I don't know, they fell apart. Anyways, so we got this one. It's kind of cool. Like, the design is kind of cool because, again, it's modeled off a really good stove. But it's got the air damper, little door. The next step of the game is to make myself sort of a sleeping or a bed area. So my plan is to make a round bed, because everybody loves a round bed. You can snuggle yourself up in this. It'll double as some storage underneath. I've just got my 2x4 here. I've leveled it off. I'm gonna put a couple of supports in, and then put my bedding or my top side on there. And it's got my little window with my little shelf. Oh, that's the greatest bed ever. I can lay right down. Holy, it's like, I think there's enough room in here for two. Look at, right up against you got like all of the room you could even imagine. Don, get in here.
Thanks.
Don's like, nah, I believe you. Right, Don? There's Don. He's standing outside. Look at, there's the room for another person in this bed. This thing's like it's a king-sized bed.
Oh, it is actually. It is very comfortable.
Isn't that nice?
Yeah, it is excellent.
It's got that neck support. You can just kind of like, the people pay big bucks for those log rolling things. Like when they roll out their muscles.
Yeah.
Look how big that bed is. Other than Don is little, so it makes it look huge.
Roundhouse King.
It's a Roundhouse King. A Roundhouse King. They used to have these in the 80s, didn't they? The round beds?
I didn't have one, but...
This is an old wire spool end. I got 3 legs. Try to attach those guys with some screws. Make yourself a nice solid table. Solid as a rock. Got a handle for carrying. Put it by your bench when you're ready to eat. It's like a TV table. Look at that. You can get your computer. Do some thinking. Some wall art. Curved LED TV on that back wall. That's what we need. Watching YouTube. It's always best to keep your firewood off the ground because otherwise creepy crawlies tend to go inside and hide in it. So that's why I'm going to build this out of some old pallet wood. I've got my my side pieces. I'm just fixing my middle pieces with a couple of screws. So this is the back portion of the wood holder. That's going to go like that. And I got a couple more I got to put in here. And that'll give me ample support for my firewood because it's going to go in this way. Anytime I'm stacking wood, I like to kind of angle my pieces so they all kind of face the center, because if you have wood and it's stacked and it's pushing the outside, it doesn't matter how strong of a structure you build, that wood will eventually push it out. It's not so critically important when you're bringing your wood inside, but especially if you're stacking your wood outside, you want to overbuild in order to ensure your wood stack stays upright. If you build a box for your wood, you're able to put more wood in a smaller location. You don't have to build it like a pyramid. You can actually stack your wood straight up, complete square. So this is our firewood rack, and now we've got a kindling rack as well, which is just above it. Dawn is cutting some smaller wood that we're going to put up there. So whenever we want to start a fire, we grab our kindling, we throw it in our fireplace, and away we go. Found myself another one of those wire spools, and this thing's gonna be my outside picnic table. I just gotta put some legs on it. So I've got my pieces that I took out from my window that are just about the right size. In order to give myself a little bit more style or make it a little bit more aesthetically pleasing, I ended up using a lot of the skiffs off of the sawmill, which are the round part of the log that you cut off before you make boards. The perimeter of the circle to give it a little bit more appeal, to kind of break up that, bomb shelter kind of metal look to it, and I think it turned out really nice. Okay, so here's the cabin. As you can see, we've got our inside. We ended up cladding it with steel, and that gives us a nice solid windbreak. And then once we've done that, we kind of thought, you know what, it looks too much like a steel bunker, so we ended up using some of the old sawmill gifts to give it that rustic appeal. We've got our little camper window, our shed window, allows us much needed ventilation in here. Not to mention there's a satellite dish on the roof, which turns out it's about 10 feet in diameter. It's not 12 feet in diameter. And then we've got the bubble building wrap that's providing us waterproofing and snow sheltering for ours. We've got a little bit of a light fixture up there, which is a light bulb. And so at nighttime, if we need more light, we can power that guy up. We've got a little bed slash bench, little cozy little sitting area over here, which doubles as some storage underneath. We can put all our stuff, so when we're working in the forest, we have a place to kind of rest, put our feet up. Over here, we've got some kindling storage, and we've got our secret weapon, the old pine cone. If you've ever started a fire in the wintertime or even in the summertime, if you can find yourself a pine cone, that is the way to start a fire. And we've got our firewood storage rack over here. It's up high, dry. It'll allow everything to stay kind of dry and not get the humidity off the ground. Over here we got the Scandia Frontier 150 wood stove. It's pretty neat. We haven't really fired it up yet because we still need to put a chimney in, but that'll be a project for another day. And yeah, we got a sitting area over here for eating at the table, or you can take your table and you can pull it up to your bench. Very versatile that way. We got our coat hooks, which allow us to hang our jackets. Something to dry off. I think this is pretty darn cozy. I hope you guys enjoyed this one, and join me on the next one.